Please, Ford owners, whatever you do, don't make these mistakes. I've been in the shop for over 20 years and I've seen engines destroyed, transmissions cooked, and wallets emptied, all because someone thought, I'll get to it later. I've watched a Ford that could have lasted 300,000 miles die at 120 because of a 5-minute mistake. It's heartbreaking, and I don't want that to be you. Hi, I'm RJ. I've worked on everything from old Crown Vics and F-150 Lightnings to new Explorers, Edges, Escapes, and Mustangs. I know what breaks them, what saves them, and what the factory manuals don't warn you about until it's too late. So today, we're going through the 15 worst maintenance mistakes Ford owners make. The things you should never do if you care about reliability. Stick with me all the way through. Some of these are simple habits, others are things even dealerships mess up, but every single one can cost you thousands. We're going step by step, from oil changes to coolant, transmission, electronics, even the tiny rubber parts that keep everything sealed. Grab a notebook. I'll drop the real-world prices, the Ford-specific fluids, and a few shop stories that'll make you cringe and laugh at the same time. Let's dive in. Mistake number 1, neglecting oil changes. I'm starting with this one because it's the one that breaks my heart the most. I've been inside thousands of Ford engines. 2.0 EcoBoosts, 5.0 Coyotes, Power Strokes, and I can tell how that engine's been treated the second I pull the dipstick. If you see dark, burnt oil that smells like a barbecue gone wrong, that's not just dirty. That's metal grinding sludge. It means the owner waited too long. Oil doesn't just get old. It loses its ability to clean and protect. Let me give you a real story. A customer brings in a 2017 F-150 with 120,000 miles, says, "It's ticking a bit. When I drain the oil, barely a trickle comes out. Thick, like molasses. Filter crushed inward. When I opened it up, the oil passages were choked with tar. That engine was done. Bearings wiped, cam scored, crank journal polished down to nothing. Total repair cost? $5,200. The fix? A $55 oil change every 5,000 miles? Here's what happens when you skip. Oil becomes acidic from fuel dilution, moisture, and combustion debris. It starts eating away at seals and metal. When that acid sits overnight, it pits cam lobes and bearings. Every cold start after that is a metal-on-metal grind. So here's the golden rule. 5,000 miles, no exceptions, full synthetic only. For 3.5 EcoBoost, 5.0 Coyote, 2.3, 2.0, use Ford's recommended viscosity, usually 5W30 or 5W20. Stick with Motorcraft or high-quality Wix filters. The cheap ones collapse internally, and once that happens, your top end runs dry on startup. Pull your dipstick every weekend. If it's low, add. Don't wait for a warning light. Those often come on after damage is done. Smell the oil. If it smells burnt, you're overheating or over-idling. Don't run the car hard until the temp needle rises. Cold oil is thick and can't lubricate properly. You treat oil changes like religion and your Ford will treat you right back. I've got customers running 300,000-mile Escapes that still purr because they never miss that interval. Mistake number 2, using the wrong coolant. This one kills quietly. No smoke, no noise, just slow corrosion until one day your Ford overheats and it's game over. Here's a case. A 2013 Explorer 3.5 comes in, temperature gauge bouncing. Owner says, "I topped it off last week." I open the cap, bright green coolant. The engine should have a Ford orange. Green and orange together make sludge thicker than oatmeal. Heater core plugged, water pump clogged, head gasket leaking. Total? $2,800. Coolant isn't just colored water, it's chemistry. Ford uses long-life organic acid technology, OAT coolants, like orange or yellow, and hybrid OAT in hybrids, specialty green. They're engineered to protect aluminum blocks and gaskets for years, but only if you use the right one. Mixing types kills the corrosion inhibitors. The result is rusty sludge that blocks tiny coolant passages, especially in turbo engines. Aluminum reacts with the wrong chemicals, creating electrolysis. That's microscopic electric corrosion. You can literally measure voltage between your coolant and ground when it's contaminated. Anything over 0.3 volts means corrosion is eating from the inside out. Flush and refill every 5 years or 60,000 miles using Ford-approved coolant and distilled water. Tap water contains minerals that turn into scale. Those flakes clog radiators and destroy heater cores. When you refill, always bleed air pockets. Some Fords have bleeder screws, or you can squeeze hoses gently while it warms. If your temp gauge fluctuates after a refill, there's air trapped. Air bubbles block coolant flow. Check your overflow bottle once a month. If the color looks cloudy, rusty, or oily, flush it immediately. That $70 flush is the cheapest insurance you'll ever buy against a $3,000 head job. Never trust universal coolant labels. Ford engines don't like chemistry experiments. Mistake number 3, believing in lifetime fluids. Here's a term I hate. Lifetime fluid. Lifetime of what? The car? The warranty? Because in the real world it usually means lifetime of the transmission, which ends right about when that fluid burns up. I had a 2014 F-150 come in last year with 142,000 miles, no service records. The guy says, "It's shifting rough lately." We drop the pan. The fluid looks like black coffee. The magnet's buried under clutch dust. He says, "But it's sealed, right?" Yeah, sealed for life. That transmission's life. Transmission fluid isn't magic. It's oil with additives that clean, lubricate, and cool. Every time you accelerate, clutches inside grab and release, producing microscopic debris. Heat cooks the additives. After about 60 to 80,000 miles, fluid can't hold pressure properly, valves gum up, and clutches glaze. Same story for differential and transfer case fluids. Those gears are under constant stress. Once oil loses viscosity, the metal wears. Change transmission fluid and filter every 60 to 80,000 miles. Mercon LV or ULV depending on model. Change differential fluid every 50,000. All-wheel drive transfer case every 40K. If you tow, live in hot climates, or sit in traffic daily, cut those intervals by 20%. Fresh fluid should be translucent red and smell faintly sweet. Burnt or brown fluid smells like old pennies. If you catch it early, a simple drain and fill revives shifting instantly. $200 for preventative service, $4,000 to $6,000 to rebuild. Do the math. Don't buy the lifetime lie. Fluid is cheaper than metal, and Ford transmissions deserve clean, cool lubrication if you expect them to reach 200,000 miles without drama. Mistake number 4, ignoring the PCV system. This one's tiny but deadly. The PCV, positive crankcase ventilation system, is your engine's breathing valve. It pulls vaporized oil and blow-by gases out of the crankcase and burns them. When it works right, pressure stays balanced. When it fails, you get leaks, carbon, and blue smoke. Let me tell you about a 2015 Fusion 2.0 EcoBoost that came in burning a quart of oil every 1,500 miles. Everyone pointed fingers at piston rings. I checked compression. Perfect. Then I popped the PCV valve out. Stuck shut with carbon. Replaced it. Problem solved. 10-minute fix. That $15 part prevents a chain reaction. When it sticks open, it sucks oil vapor into the intake. That coats your valves, fouls spark plugs, and throws off your air-fuel ratio. When it sticks closed, crankcase pressure rises and blows out gaskets and seals. Either way, your engine suffers. Replace the PCV valve every 40,000 miles. It's cheap, usually one hose clamp and a twist out. Install an oil catch can between the PCV valve and intake. It traps the oily mist before it reaches the valves. You'll be shocked how much that can collect after a few thousand miles. Pure oily condensation that otherwise coats your intake valves. If you see oil inside the intake tube, suspect the PCV. If your idle surges or you hear a whistling vacuum sound, the PCV or hose might be cracked. Replace brittle hoses. They harden from heat and leak under boost. Ignore it and you'll invite detonation, carbon buildup, and loss of performance. It's one of those little parts that separates a clean, long-lasting engine from a smoker at 90K. Mistake number 5, using cheap or wrong spark plugs. If I had $1 for every Ford that rolled into my shop misfiring because of cheap spark plugs, I'd retire early. Every week, someone brings in a truck that's running rough, shaking at idle, and burning gas like crazy. 9 times out of 10, it's because they went with the bargain bin plugs that fit everything. Let me tell you about a customer with a 2018 F-150 3.5 EcoBoost. He said he wanted to upgrade to iridium plugs he found online for half the price of Motorcraft. Looked fine on paper, but the heat range was wrong, and the tip design didn't match Ford's spec. Within 2 months, his engine started to hesitate under boost. He brought it in. 3 plugs had cracked ceramic, and 1 coil pack had fried from arcing. He saved $40 on parts and spent $480 fixing it. Here's the truth. Spark plugs are not universal. Ford's ignition timing, fuel mapping, and coil voltage are tuned for specific plug resistances and tip materials. The wrong plug throws that balance off. It can cause pre-ignition, poor cold starts, or misfires under load. Here's how to do it right. Stick with Motorcraft plugs for your engine. Period. Replace them every 60,000 miles. Sometimes 40,000 for turbos. Always torque to spec. Too loose and the plug leaks compression. Too tight and you'll strip the aluminum threads. Put a dab of anti-seize on the plug threads. Just a thin coat. Use dielectric grease inside the coil boot to prevent moisture. Replace any cracked or soft coil boots. That $10 rubber piece saves your $100 coil. When plugs are right, the engine starts smoother, idles quietly, and you regain that crisp throttle response you forgot existed. A $10 part done properly saves a $600 catalytic converter, because misfires dump unburned fuel that overheats it. Bottom line, you wouldn't put cheap shoes on a marathon runner, don't put dollar store plugs in a precision Ford engine. Mistake number 6, ignoring air filters and MAF sensors. I can't tell you how many times I've seen an owner complain about bad gas mileage or rough idle, and the fix took less than 15 minutes. The air filter is your Ford's lungs. Clog it and you're choking the whole system. Here's one. A 2015 Edge came in, running lean. Check engine light on. Owner thought it was a fuel injector. We popped the airbox. The filter was black, full of leaves, and the mass airflow sensor was coated in grime. The engine was literally guessing how much air it was getting. Once we replaced the filter and cleaned the MAF with the proper cleaner, the idle smoothed out instantly, and fuel trims normalized. Mileage jumped from 14 to 20 miles per gallon. When that filter clogs, your engine compensates by adding more fuel, running rich, and fouling plugs and oxygen sensors. If it's bad enough, it'll even damage the catalytic converter. Check the air filter every 15 to 20,000 miles, or sooner if you drive dusty roads. Hold it up to light. If you can't see through the pleats, replace it. Use a vacuum to clean the airbox. Dust in there gets sucked right back into the sensor. That little sensor wire is fragile. Use only mass airflow sensor cleaner. Spray it gently. Let it air dry. Never touch it with your fingers or a rag. Avoid oiled, aftermarket filters. The oil vapor contaminates the MAF and ruins readings. Clean airflow equals better combustion, better power, and longer life. Think of it as giving your Ford a breath of fresh air. Literally. That 10-minute, $15 job can fix problems that owners throw hundreds of dollars at guessing. Mistake number 7, ignoring the cooling fan system. This one sneaks up on people because it's invisible, until it's too late. Everyone thinks, my coolant's full, so I'm good. Wrong. If the fan system fails, your Ford cooks itself sitting still. Here's a true story. A customer with a 2014 Escape, she said, it runs fine on the highway but overheats in traffic. That's the classic sign of a dead fan motor or relay. When we tested the fans, one wasn't spinning at all. The high-speed relay had failed silently. By the time she noticed, the heat had already warped her head gasket. That $50 relay turned into a $2,600 repair. Cooling fans do 2 things. They draw air across the radiator when you're not moving and help the AC system perform. When they fail, your engine can't shed heat fast enough. Every 6 months, with the engine off, spin the fan blades by hand. They should move freely. Turn on the AC at idle. Both fans should kick on. If one doesn't, check the fuse, relay, or motor. If you have a scan tool, you can command fan speeds to test. Also, keep the radiator fins clean. Bugs, dust, and road debris block airflow just like a dirty air filter does. A quick rinse with low-pressure water once a month helps. If your temperature climbs only when parked, suspect the fan system. Replace the relay or fan assembly before it's too late. A $150 fan motor saves your engine from a $3,000 meltdown. Don't wait until you smell coolant before you act. Mistake number 8. Neglecting the fuel system. Fuel is the lifeblood of your Ford, and neglecting the fuel system is like feeding your body junk food for years. It'll catch up to you. Modern Fords, especially EcoBoosts, are direct injection. That means fuel goes straight into the cylinders instead of washing over the intake valves. Sounds efficient, right? It is, but it has a dark side. Those valves build carbon, fast. Every time I see an EcoBoost with a rough idle, hesitation, or loss of power, I already know what's waiting inside. Carbon caked so thick it looks like someone sprayed tar on the valves. That buildup throws off airflow, hurts fuel economy, and causes misfires. Short trips, cheap fuel, and skipping cleaners. When you shut down the engine before it warms fully, moisture and carbon don't burn off. Do that long enough, you're driving a car that's slowly suffocating itself. The solution? Run a quality fuel system cleaner every 3,000 to 5,000 miles. Look for top-tier or Ford-approved products. Use top-tier gasoline. It contains more detergents to keep injectors clean. Never run your tank dry. Fuel cools the pump. Low fuel levels let heat and debris kill it early. For heavy cases, a walnut blast cleaning every 60,000 to 80,000 miles restores lost power. In my shop, I charge about $250 for that. And customers always say, it drives like new again. If your Ford shakes at idle but runs fine at highway speed, suspect injector clog or carbon buildup. If fuel trims are off or you hear pinging under load, get the injectors cleaned. Change the fuel filter every 30,000 to 40,000 miles. Fuel systems are often ignored because people can't see them. But trust me, that invisible gunk is robbing your engine every mile. Keep it clean and your Ford will repay you in performance, longevity, and smoother driving. Mistake number 9. Ignoring small leaks. You see that little oil spot under your Ford and think, it's just a drop or two. That's your engine crying for help. I've lost count of how many customers ignored tiny leaks until they became major disasters. A 2012 Escape rolled in last month. Owner says, I just started seeing smoke. I put it up on the lift. Valve cover was seeping oil down the exhaust manifold. That leak started months ago. Over time, oil cooked on the hot manifold, hardened into carbon, and eventually ignited under load. A small leak turned into an underhood fire. It's never just a drip. Here's why. Oil leaks lower your pressure and starve bearings. Coolant leaks lower system pressure, making your boiling point drop. Your car overheats faster. Transmission leaks reduce clutch pack pressure and cause slipping. When fluids seep, oxygen, moisture, and dirt get inside. That contamination accelerates wear. If it leaves a mark on the driveway, it deserves your attention. Here's what to do. Slide cardboard or newspaper under your car overnight. Check in the morning. Color tells you the story. Brown or black? Oil. Pink or red? Transmission fluid. Green, orange, or yellow? Coolant. Track the source. Look above the drip, not below. It often drips from the lowest point but originates higher. Wipe the area clean and recheck after a drive. If it's wet again, that's your culprit. Most gasket jobs are under $200 if caught early. Ignore them, and you'll face multi-$1,000 engine rebuilds. A $12 valve cover gasket can save a $2,000 repair. Never underestimate a little leak. It's a warning light before the dash light ever comes on. Mistake number 10, neglecting brake fluid and hydraulic fluids. Brake fluid is one of those fluids everyone forgets because you don't see it burn, smell it, or check it often. But it's a silent destroyer. Brake fluid is hygroscopic. It absorbs moisture from the air. Every time you open that reservoir cap, even just to peek, humidity gets in. Over time, that water content corrodes lines, calipers, and master cylinders. I had a 2008 Taurus come in with spongy brakes. The owner said, pads and rotors are new, but the pedal's still soft. We tested the fluid. Boiling point was half of what it should be. It had absorbed water. Under heavy braking, that water boiled, creating vapor bubbles. You can't compress vapor, so the pedal felt soft. The fix? Full brake fluid flush. After that, the pedal was solid again. Flush brake fluid every 3 years or 36,000 miles. Ford recommends DOT3 or DOT4 depending on your model. Don't mix them. Use what's on the cap or manual. Pop your reservoir cap. with the engine off. Fluid should be clear to light amber. If it's dark brown, it's time. Use a turkey baster or syringe to suck old fluid from the reservoir and top off with fresh between flushes. And don't forget power steering if your Ford isn't electric assisted. Old fluid turns dark, loses lubrication, and eats seals in the pump. Flush it every 50,000 miles with the correct fluid, usually Mercon V or LV. The cost difference, $70 for a flush versus $1,000 for a hydraulic rebuild. Hydraulic fluids are your car's muscles. Keep them clean and they'll never let you down. Mistake number 11, neglecting transmission service. This one deserves its own sermon. Transmissions are the most expensive part of your Ford to fix, and they fail quietly until they don't move at all. Sealed for life is a cruel joke. That life is short when fluid never gets changed. I had a 2016 Explorer 6 F35 with 130,000 miles. The owner said it started hesitating on shifts. We dropped the pan. The fluid was black, burnt, full of metal dust. He'd never changed it once. $4,200 later, he had a rebuilt transmission and a lesson learned. Transmission fluid isn't just lubrication. It's hydraulic pressure, friction control, and cooling in one. Over time, it breaks down and collects clutch debris. When that happens, solenoids stick, shifts slam, and clutches glaze. Change the fluid and filter every 60 to 80,000 miles, 40 to 50,000 if you tow or drive in extreme heat. Use the correct fluid only. Mercon LV or ULV for newer models. Never multi-vehicle fluid unless it meets Ford spec. Drop the pan when you service it, don't just flush. Draining and filling clears debris without forcing it through valves. Wipe the dipstick on a white towel. Bright red and clear? Good. Brown or smells burnt? Time for service. Replace your transmission mount if you feel clunks during shifts. It keeps vibrations down and prevents stress cracks. The difference is night and day. After a proper service, shifts feel crisp, smoother, and response improves. Transmission service is the closest thing you'll ever get to reverse aging in your car. Mistake number 12, neglecting the battery and grounds. Now let's talk about something most people don't connect to performance, the battery and electrical grounds. A weak battery is like bad blood pressure for your Ford. It doesn't just affect starting, it messes with sensors, fuel trim, transmission shifts, and idle control. The computer in your car depends on clean, steady voltage. I had an Explorer come in, misfiring on random cylinders. The owner replaced plugs, coils, even the MAF. Still ran rough. I checked the voltage, 11.9 volts. The alternator was fine, but the ground strap between the block and the chassis was corroded. Cleaned it, tightened it, instantly smooth idle. That strap cost $8. Over time, corrosion builds under terminals, cables loosen, and your battery's output drops. That can cause the ECU to get erratic readings. You'll see weird lights, stalling at idle, even transmission jerks, because the control modules aren't getting consistent power. Maintenance checklist. Clean battery terminals every oil change. Use a mix of baking soda and water, scrub with a wire brush, rinse, and dry. Apply dielectric grease on terminals to prevent corrosion. Check battery voltage. 12.6 volts, perfect. 12.3 volts, aging. Below 12 volts, replace soon. Check alternator output. 13.5 to 14.5 volts when running. And don't forget your grounds, the braided straps connecting the engine, body, and transmission. If they're loose, cracked, or corroded, clean them with sandpaper or replace them. If the electrical system isn't solid, nothing else in the car works right. A strong battery and clean grounds give your Ford stable voltage, faster starts, and smooth sensor operation. A $150 battery and an hour of cleaning can save you from chasing phantom issues for weeks. Hey, if you're still hanging on with me, you're my kind of Ford owner. Hit that like button now so we can help more people stop making these mistakes. And drop a comment with your Ford model and mileage. I want to see how far yours has gone and what you've learned to keep it running. Mistake number 13, over-torquing or cross-threading bolts. You'd think tightening bolts is foolproof, but man, I've seen more aluminum threads destroyed by good and tight than by any real wear and tear. Every week I get cars in which someone tried to change their oil, plugs, or tires at home, and the threads are stripped clean out. Once that happens, you're not tightening anything anymore. You're rebuilding or replacing. Let me tell you, Aluminum and brute force don't mix. Ford uses a lot of aluminum in oil pans, heads, and transmissions because it's light and dissipates heat well. But aluminum is soft. You over-torque a bolt once, it stretches. You do it twice, the threads pull right out. Here's an example. I had a customer change their own oil on a 2019 Explorer. They over-tightened the drain plug, cracked the oil pan flange, and it started weeping oil. They thought it was the gasket and tightened it even harder. The crack widened. Now, they need a new oil pan. $400 for the part, $300 labor. All from too much wrist strength and no torque wrench. Torque wrenches aren't optional. They're the difference between a hobby and a habit. How to avoid this mistake? Always check the torque specs. It's in the owner's manual or service data. Use a proper torque wrench. $30 to $50 lasts forever. Start bolts by hand for a few turns to avoid cross-threading. For spark plugs, use a small dab of anti-seize and turn gently. Once it seats, give it a snug twist to spec, usually 13 to 15 foot-pounds. If something doesn't feel right, stop. Threads should glide smoothly. If it binds early, you're likely cross-threading. Back it out and start again. One careless twist can ruin a $1,000 component. Take your time. Slow hands save engines. Mistake number 14, skipping filters. Filters are like your car's organs, silent constant protectors. Skip one and the whole system suffers. Yet this is one of the most common corners people cut. I see it every oil change session. Customers showed up saying, "I did the oil myself." I ask if they replaced the filter. They say, "Nah, it looked clean." No, it didn't. You can't see what the filters caught. Let's talk about the 3 most ignored filters: cabin, fuel, and transmission. Keeps dust and debris out of your HVAC system. You breathe through it every time you drive. When it's clogged, your blower motor strains, air volume drops, and your defrost barely works. I've pulled cabin filters that look like mulch beds, leaves, bugs, even a mouse nest once. Replace it yearly. It's a 5-minute job, $15 part. This one's mission critical. It traps microscopic grit from your fuel tank before it hits injectors. When it's clogged, pressure drops, the pump overworks, and injectors wear out. $25 filter keeps a $500 pump alive. Change every 30 to 40,000 miles or sooner if you use lower quality fuel. Keeps clutch debris from circulating in your fluid. Every time you service the fluid, replace it. Clogged filters cause slipping, delayed shifting, and pump failure. A customer brought in a 2011 Fusion that was starving for fuel under acceleration. They swore the pump was bad. We tested pressure, low, dropped the filter, it was solid black. Replaced it, the pressure shot back to normal. The owner said, "It's like it got its lungs back." Filters are your car's defense system. Don't wait for symptoms. Replace on schedule. They're cheap, easy, and they keep expensive parts from dying young. Mistake number 15, trusting quick-fix additives. All right, this one is the one that really makes me shake my head. The snake oil. Every parts store shelf is packed with bottles that promise to restore compression instantly or stop leaks permanently. Sounds good, right? Too good. Because they almost always do more harm than good. I had a 2013 F-150 come in with coolant thick as glue. The owner said, "I put that stop leak stuff in to fix a small leak. It plugged the radiator so bad that coolant couldn't circulate. The engine overheated and warped the heads. A $15 bottle cost him a $3,200 repair. Those additives can clog small oil or coolant passages, coat sensors, and ruin seals. Once it's in the system, it's nearly impossible to flush out completely. There's no shortcut for real maintenance. If a product promises a miracle in 10 minutes, it's lying. There are only a few exceptions. Fuel system cleaners that are approved by Ford or top tier. They help dissolve deposits. Diesel cetane boosters. When used correctly, they improve combustion. Everything else, skip it. Don't pour mystery chemicals into a precision machine. If you suspect a leak, fix the gasket or hose. If compression's down, check rings, valves, or head gaskets. Machines need mechanical solutions, not magic potions. If it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be in your engine. There it is. 15 things you should never do to your Ford if you want it to last. Notice a theme? It's not about fancy tricks, it's about respect. Your Ford will give back exactly what you put into it. Keep the oil fresh, the fluids clean, the sensors honest, and the small stuff handled before it snowballs. Do this, and your Ford, whether it's a Focus, Explorer, Mustang, or Super Duty, will keep running strong long after the payments stop. If this video helped you, hit that like button. It really helps the channel. Subscribe for more real-world Ford advice. No nonsense, just what works. Next week, we're going deeper. Illegal Ford tricks to make your engine run better. You won't want to miss that one. Thanks for watching. Take care of your Ford, and I'll see you in the next one.